Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Everyday Strong. This is your host, CB Baker. As you can see, I'm not in the studio today and I have a great guest, Deacon Chris Scott. Head Deacon of Chamber Board Chris Scott, which we will find out the whole maturation of how he went from just a person coming into church and it ended up in the top position as a deacon here at Enoch Baptist Church. And as you can see, we're here in the stomping grounds. We're right here in the sanctuary. So, all right, Deacon Scott, Deacon Chris, because when I met you, it was Chris.
I was Chris.
Right, Chris, right. So, right. So walk us through how you become your process, so to speak, of being a deacon.
Well, it was a process that I didn't design myself, but when I first got to the church, I was pulled in by a gentleman named Binky, and he was, I guess, the president of the usher board at the time, men's usher board.
Right.
So, I guess he kind of liked my demeanor, how I carried myself, always came by myself, quiet, observant, stuff like that. So, started getting on the usher board. So I had to buy suits and everything. So, but I was committed.
Right.
Because I wanted to serve. I wanted a church that I can call my own and grow in, and this being my first actual church. So, I did that.
So hold on. So Enoch is the first church that you belong to.
I belong.
So me and you have that in common.
Yes.
The first actual church. Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah. I didn't grow up in the church. Man.
Right.
But, it's crazy because growing up, I come from, I'm from Norfolk, Virginia. And it's a project area called Grand Park. That's where I'm from. And Mom didn't push us to go to church. But I always found myself going to Sunday school.
Yeah.
Now, what enticed me to going to Sunday school at times was, they were giving out candy. So you learn something,
right, you
ask questions, you get a piece of candy. So boom, I was doing that. So the older I got, I really got away from it. My mom really, it wasn't a church-going family. So, through my time military, after medically retiring and coming back home and all that, that's when my heart started yearning.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess God was talking to me then.
Mm-hmm.
So, decided, I remember when this church was being built.
Wow.
Right, because my mom stayed in the neighborhood.
Right.
So, I said, well, when this church get built, I'm going to visit. So I don't want to name the churches that I was going to. That's the bad time. But,
right.
During that yearning process, I was going to a couple of churches.
Right.
So, but once this church got, 2004 is when the church was finished. So I started going in 2005, but I didn't join automatically. It took about 3-4 months before I decided. So, once I decided that, hey, this is going to be, because I like what the church had to offer. We had a pastor that, hey, if you want to volunteer, you want to serve,
right?
He gave you every opportunity to what?
Right,
to serve. So,
right.
That's what I love. And I took full advantage of it. So, it was, and Binky helped me out. A couple of brothers, they kind of knew my story from a distance. Okay, this cat, he from the streets, but he kind of mellow. He don't have this edge on him, So I started growing in the church.
Mm-hmm.
Everything I was, where service needed, I was there.
Right.
I was there. So, started doing that. Then it started building on me. And then the young lady, it might have been a couple of people, but I remember Pastor was saying that the young lady had came to him and they were saying that, hey, the deacons that we have now are prehistoric.
Right.
we got some, we had some older deacons back then. So, but she said, hey, we need deacons our age that can relate to us. Then Pastor said, you know what? You're right. So I guess he put out a message, during the service, and you know how they have when Sister Bernie had the announcement. So he put out an announcement saying, hey, you know, if you know anybody, recommend them. You feel like they could be a good candidate as a deacon. So where apparently some people felt like I was a good candidate.
Right.
So they put my name down. So I missed that Sunday when he put that announcement out. But then next Sunday I came. And that's when a couple of people came to me and said, hey, I put your name down. Because I didn't know what they were talking about.
Right.
So put the name down for, being a good candidate for a deacon. I'm thinking to myself, I don't know about that. Because I know my background. Right. I know my lifestyle. So I said, okay. I didn't say no, but I was a little, I don't know. So we did the classes around 2012 when we did the first class. It was like 30, 34 people there. Mm-hmm. And he broke everything. He broke it down. Or what is the qualifications? He went through, 1 Timothy 3:13, went through Acts, on the genesis of how the deacons was formed. So I just stayed, and it piqued my interest. So I said, okay. Even though I didn't say, hey, my lifestyle say I want to be a deacon, when people felt that confident in me, I just took that confidence and just kept going.
Right.
So we started in 12, or was it 11? No, 12, and we graduated in January 18th, 2013.
Wow.
That was our graduation day. We got ordained. There was 13 of us sitting down.
Yeah.
And my mom stood behind, right, as we got ordained. Yeah. Sure.
Man, that's a great story.
Yeah.
And that, as much as we talk, I had never heard that story. And I didn't know we had that in common.
Right.
Right. So that's great. So now that you, the head of the chairman of the Deacon Board, explain to me your reaction when Pastor Daniels came to you, to everybody, to the management, and said, okay, I'm retiring. And then he probably looks at you and says, you're the chairman, so that means you're in charge of the church.
Right. So now just think about this, right? I was a deacon, right? So I think God was preparing me for this moment, not knowing that every moment out of this got thrown into the fire, right? So as a deacon, when we had to, we had a full body of deacons with the old and the young. I used to take charge of the meetings. In the meetings when we have our deacons meeting. So, I was the secretary, but also controlled the meetings. So I formatted, the layout of how the meeting was going to go. So not knowing that it was crap of me, right? I'm just doing it because, hey, it needed to be done. So, boom, doing it. And then all of a sudden, Deacon Harris at the time, boom, he became ill, went into the hospital, passing away. Then all of a sudden, Deacon Smith became chair, right? Mm-hmm. Now with Deacon Smith becoming chair, he told me, hey man, I'm gonna need you. So now I'm stepping up even more.
Right.
So then all of a sudden, he became ill. And they needed a co-chair. So we had to do a vote.
Right.
And pastor say, hey, if you feel like you can, if you can co-chair, you can vote for yourself. So I became co-chair because of majority vote.
Right.
Then with me being co-chair, I'm thrown in the fire. Then nobody's teaching me how to be a chairman.
Right.
I'm going, this is like on the job training, right?
Right.
So now Deacon Smith become more ill. Then all of a sudden, he's, housebound. Can't come out.
Can't come. Right.
Can't come.
That makes you chair.
That make me chair, right? So, then once he passes away, that has moved me all the way up to this chairman of the Deacon Board. And you got to think, within that span from 2013 to about, 16? A 3-year span, I became chairman of the Deacon Board. Still learning.
Right.
Still, building strength and boldness, how to walk in this position. So now we speed it up to the pastor, and I knew, it was trickling down. Me and him had private conversations, which I had to keep confidential, when me and him talk. So, because he always say, hey, only me, you, and God know what I'm about to tell you. So from that moment on, I knew that this was, personal, private conversation. So when he, some told me that last vacation that he had, I said, man, I said, it sounds like every time pastor take a vacation, his time of retirement gets shorter and shorter. Mm-hmm. So I just knew the last one. I said, okay, I know he's gonna say, hey, I'm just ready. So when he came back, we had a meeting, me and him. That's when he told me that, hey, I think I'm going to retire. First it was 3. Then that 3 went to by June. Mm-hmm. The last conversation by June.
Yeah.
Nobody knew except for me and him. His wife knew, probably his family. But, I couldn't say anything.
Right.
He told me in confidentiality. So, but then I guess he ended up telling his staff. Then he had the bigger meeting with everybody else and explained it with the leadership team that, hey, this is what I'm going to do. And then, he said it June 30th would be his last day. And since July 1st.
Yeah. So since you've been in a leadership position,
right,
what has been the toughest thing for you to learn or to adjust to? In spiritual leadership, like, you're already a leader outside of the church. You got plenty of jobs, have supervisors, stuff like that.
Right.
But being here is a little bit different because you're dealing with people who's volunteering,
That's the key.
Right.
That is the challenge. Because in the military, we went by rank system. If I had a higher rank than you, I could tell you what to do.
Right.
And you have to do it.
Right.
Right. It was a structured environment in the military. Once you go out in the civilian world, it's not like that per se. But when you work for corporations, you have a supervisor, you have managers and this and that. And if you want your job, you do what you're supposed to do.
Right.
Volunteer service, which is faith-based, right, is different. Especially, I'm not getting paid in the position that I'm in. And the people that's under me is not getting paid. So when I set out a charge, in your mind, because of all of this background, you expect things to, go as planned. They don't always go as planned. Now, do it get done? Yes. This is the fortunate part. That people respect me enough to say, hey, he's a true leader. He's a true servant of God. And if he put something out there, let's just do it.
Right.
So, and I think that came with the grind of being an Enoch.
Right.
And how you say you work from the bottom
all the way to the top.
All the way up to the top.
Right.
Not knowing that you was going to get up there.
Right.
You just wanted to be a servant. Yeah. So that's it. So.
Yeah. That's the reason I told you, a couple of weeks ago, I was like, look, dude, I'm upstairs, so you know where I'm at.
Right.
You ain't got to worry about where CB at, in the whole grand scheme of things. I let you know where I'm at. This is where, unless you need me somewhere else, and you got my number, call me. Because I know when you're in a leadership position, you can't have people just flaring off in the wind on you real quick, and you think somebody holding a position down, and they're really not.
Right. And I'm so used to, you have to, and another hard thing is, depending on people to do it the right way. Mm-hmm. I'm so used to taking charge and doing. See, I'm like a general on the battlefield. I'm going to lead the charge. That's just me. That's how I operate.
Right.
I'm going to be in the mix of the battle with my soldiers. Anybody can take it that. That's why, when it came to them voting for a chairman of the Deacon Board, it was a no-brainer. Mm-hmm. People was like, you the next chairman.
Right.
Before I even became chairman, they were like, you the next chairman. Because you already do too much in the church. Mm-hmm. That was by purpose. Because I wanted to serve.
Right.
Recognition. I'm a behind the scenes person.
Right.
But
yeah. And
I tell people all the time, people say, hey, what do it take to be a deacon? I said, well, read 1 Timothy 3, 8 through 13. And read Acts 6. It talks about, how the deacons were formed and stuff. Look in the mirror too. And they say, okay, what do me as a person? Do I have the qualification? Because you have to meet the qualification.
Right.
And then there's qualifications that the church, per se, Enoch, also requires. Are you in Bible study every Wednesday? Right? Mm-hmm. Are you coming to Sunday service every Sunday?
Right.
Right? Yep. If you're not doing all of that, then you're not worthy.
Right. You got to be committed to it.
You got to be committed. And then, once they ordain you, you're on a different level. Mm-hmm. People look at you different. And it's sad because, sometimes they're not looking at the good works. They're looking for what?
What you ain't doing.
What you ain't doing. Right. Or they're looking for the great fall.
Right.
So,
Yeah. I often tell people, I was like, this is one of my decision to be a minister was when it was brought to me, it said, CB, you'd be great at this. It's like, okay. Because CB, you don't do nothing bad, no way. You're a good guy. It's like, it's not like going to be a big change for you. It's like, okay.
Right.
But my mindset did change a little bit. So it's like I look at things differently. And then, Pastor Daniels always hit me upside the head with a 2x4 when I think secularly versus faith-based.
Right.
And that's my biggest hiccup because, for 20 years I've managed people on a secular level. Now I got to change it for spiritual leadership, which is a lot more massaging that you got to do to a person because you're trying to guide them versus tell them. That's a big difference,
And I remember you said something key. You said something about your mindset change. When I knew I was going to become a deacon, I know, okay, I have to change some things that I'm doing in my life, right? Mm-hmm. And these changes should have been occurring as a Christian, but it was occurring slowly. Mm-hmm. But for some reason, that walk kind of, I had to change some stuff around. So with that, I said, man, I know where you're coming from because that switch, okay, I can't be out here, with this woman. No. As a deacon, you have to walk a certain type of way.
Right.
So I told myself, I gotta get married. Right, because I know me.
Right.
And I know I still got some thorns that God hasn't removed. But I know why he hasn't removed them. Because them thorns was going to keep me fixated on him.
Right. So,
because, that's they thorns that I talk about. And I pray for every morning. That, keep me from me.
Right.
Because I can make a disaster out of everything. But, with him having control of me, it sounds like everything that I've been touching, things been prospering. So, I don't want to lose that favor.
Yeah.
So I'm with you with that mind switch. So.
Yeah. So it's interesting that you mentioned that because I talk to people a lot about that when they talk about finding their purpose or how do I know if this what I'm doing is God ordained or not.
Right.
And you touched on that. It's like, even though I know I'm not perfect, God knows I'm not perfect.
Right.
But the things I do for God is like when I touch it, it's gold. Or how we say in the street, it's like pure butter.
It's pure butter. Right. Right.
So explain a little bit more how that feeling is when you're doing something and it's like great, like everything just fell right into place.
I always tell people that if be who you are, right? I say that you can't be two people. You can't be one And then when you home, something totally different. Anybody that knows me, I'm one way.
Right.
and that's because that's what I don't want you to say, no way, you act different when you hear versus that. No. I'm one way behind closed doors and out in public. I'm one way. So when your spiritual walk, you're gonna fall, right? You're gonna make mistakes. We sin every day, either it's by our mouthpiece, our thought process, or by our actions, right? So, we always that carnal mind. I don't think is a person on the face of this earth that always has a holy mindset 24/7. It's hard. It's hard to do.
Yeah.
So, when you're going through that, the flesh is constantly ruined. Hey man, don't you miss being ratchet, being and
right.
then you come across temptations, it's always
right.
It's all over you. But the beauty of it is God always give you action route, right? So, God is keeping me from me. That's the most I can say.
Yeah.
And and the feeling is, even though I'm an imperfect being, right? Living an imperfect life. But through Christ, I'm just as good as I can be.
Right.
Right. So it's like everything that I do is, people are like, man, everything that you're doing is turning to gold, man. And I'm like, nah, I see. You gotta thank the Lord for that. That's Him.
Yeah.
It's all Him. I can't take credit for that. Because I know being on the other side.
Right.
And I know everything that I did on my own, I destroyed. So I'm just glad I'm on that He got control of me. And I don't want to lose that favor. So if I don't want to lose that favor, I got to keep my eye.
Keep doing what you're doing.
I got to keep doing what I'm doing.
And following and walking your path.
And walking my path. Now, where that path gonna lead, I don't know. But I don't do things for fame. Me, I'm behind the scenes. I do a lot of hard work behind the scenes that, a lot of us don't get credit for. But we ain't in the business to get credit for. We're in the business to make sure it's done. Because one thing Pastor always teaches, say, hey, look, it's gonna get done regardless. God gonna make sure it gets done. Either with you or without you.
Right. So
I just want.
And then when it's with you, you get blessed. So why would you sit there and leave the reward when it's gonna get done anyway?
Right. I mean, this thing about, man, you might not have a lot of money in your bank account, but you live in comfort, right? You got cars in your driveway. You got a roof over your head. You got clothes on your back. Food. You can go on vacations when you want to.
Right. And then it's the blessings. Yeah. And it's the blessings that you don't even realize. I told the kids upstairs one time I was driving a car, going down the interstate, 70 miles per hour. Car in front of me, tire, not a blowout, the whole tire came off the car and it's bouncing. And then it gets to my car and it bounces over my car, over the hood of my car, over into the median.
It ain't even skipping or nothing. right over.
So that's that favor that you get that you don't, then you'll say, oh, thank you. Like, man, that was right. Thank you, Lord.
Right.
But that's when you put in that work. He said, I'm gonna make sure this tire don't hit the car, spin you out of control, going on over the car and going.
See, and that's the favor.
That's the favor.
That's the favor. Everybody don't get that same measure of favor. I do believe that God loves us the same, but the blessings not all the same. That favor is not always all the same. Your favor might be totally different from mine. Right.
And it may come at a different time. We literally doing the same thing at the same time, but my favor could come sooner than yours, or yours come sooner than mine.
Yeah.
And it ain't, and how we always tell people, like, stop clocking everybody else's pockets. Do what you're supposed to do.
Do what you're supposed to.
And then it will come.
It will come. I'm trying to tell you, man.
Because some people need Some people need the $100 right then.
Right.
And some people just need, 10 tens. You know what I mean?
Now, you don't mind having $100 every chance you can get.
Right.
Right. Every hour on hour, if I can get $100, that's fine.
Right.
If I don't, I'm fine. It just, I don't know, man. This God been taking care of me, man. I've been in situations that when you look at other people and they die, they be like, man, I was in that situation before.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm still here. And they passed away.
Yeah.
You know that there was a God that was looking out for your well-being and your safety. And your safety because you had a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we don't know our purpose when we're going through it, but we're still trying to find out. Even your gifts. Do I know what my true gifts are? I just know I just got a heart to serve. Mm-hmm. And maybe that is
the gift,
the true gift.
Right.
It's the heart to serve. And so.
All right. So is there anything you'd like to bring up before we close out?
Let's keep praying for, Baptist Church. Pray for the officers of the church, the ministers of the church, ministry leaders of the church, and the congregation as a whole. We in I ain't gonna say we're in trying times. We just in a different atmosphere right now because we don't have a true spiritual leader. And what I mean by that is a pastor
to
lead his congregation. Now we're in the process of finding one. I think that God is going to give us one that's going to take us to greater heights. I'm very optimistic.
Yeah.
So, but let's continue to keep everybody in prayer, man. It's not about me, even though I'm the CEO right now. It's about all of us.
Yeah.
It's about all of us, man. And we all have to, take the onus on ourselves and be like, you know what? Let's move forward as a family.
Right.
And it's not just a one-person thing, but it's a family as a whole right now.
Right.
So you can get a spiritual leader that can do this.
Yeah, so we want to have a setup to where when they take over, it's not like they ain't got to do anything. Like they're going to just hit the ground running.
Hit the ground running. I'm still learning the CEO thing, man.
Right.
I ain't fired nobody yet. Yeah. So and plus, people been coming, they've been showing the respect.
Right.
They know I'm chairman of the Deacon. They know I'm Deacon Scott. So, I don't even look at myself as CEO of it.
Right.
I'm just doing what the bylaw said that I supposed to do until we put a shepherd
in place. All right. Thank you so much, Deacon Scott.
My man, $100,000. Yeah.
All right. Thank y'all so much for watching and listening. This is your host, CB Baker. Till next time. Peace.